A headline from every day of January 2019 from the Washington Post. MSNBC is surging. The president shapes the public character of the nation. Trump's character falls short. Mitt Romney's op-ed crystallizes all the reasons the old GOP establishment has been pushed aside. U.S. economy added 312,000 jobs in December, and the unemployment rate was 3.9%, marking a strong finish to 2018. Senator David Perdue says Mitt Romney makes the same mistake that cost him the White House. Iowa Democrats fill events to the rafters with 13 months left before the 2020 caucuses. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's very bad defense of her falsehoods. Russian lawyer at Trump Tower meeting charged in separate case. A few Republicans defend Article 1 of the Constitution. So far, Romney isn't one of them. If there's a concrete wall in front of you, go through it, Trump said in 2004 speech. Trump administration lays groundwork to declare national emergency to build wall. D.C. area forecast. Snow develops later today with at least several inches likely tonight through Sunday. Trump has concealed details of his face-to-face encounters with Putin from senior officials in administration. Trump says weak Biden came off the trash heap as former vice president mulls 2020 bid. Federal judge rules against Trump administration's push for citizenship questions on 2020 census. Islamic State claims blast in U.S. patrolled city in Syria. Monitoring group, local media report casualties. Rudy Giuliani just contradicted nearly all the Trump team's past collusion denials. Democrats demand investigation after a report that Trump ordered Michael Cohen to lie to Congress. In a rare move, Mueller's office denies BuzzFeed report that Trump told Cohen to lie about Moscow Project. It was getting ugly. Native American drummer speaks on MAGA hat-wearing teens who surrounded him. A tribal elder and a high school junior stood face-to-face, and the world reacted. DACA program that protects young undocumented immigrants not likely to get Supreme Court review this term. Trump's position is weakening fast. Here's how Democrats can exploit that. Here's why Trump isn't budging on his border wall. Longtime Trump advisor Roger Stone indicted by special counsel in Russia investigation. It might now be Roger Stone's time in the barrel. Trump advisors lied over and over again, Mueller says. The question is, why? Want to see the Lincoln bedroom? Trump relishes role as White House tour guide. Senate panel postpones Attorney General nominee William P. Barr's confirmation vote amid Democrats' concerns. Foxconn's plan for a giant Wisconsin factory now looks uncertain. Bernie Sanders to propose dramatic expansion in estate tax on richest Americans, including 77% rate on billionaires. A headline for every day of February 2019. Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey joins the 2020 presidential race. Virginia Governor Northam is refusing to step down despite flood of calls for his resignation for racist and offensive photo, party says. Sorry, Republicans, you can't call out Northam for racism and give Trump a pass. Northam meets with senior staff and considers options, including resignation. Tom Brady of Leakers roils Trump White House before State of Union. Elizabeth Warren apologizes for calling herself Native American. Ocasio-Cortez and Markey unveil Green New Deal with backing of 4 presidential candidates. Facing opposition, Amazon reconsiders New York headquarters site, 2 officials say. Second woman accuses Virginia Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax of sexual assault. Border talks at impasse as shutdown looms Friday, officials say. Jewish House Democrats urge Pelosi to denounce Ilhan Omar for hateful tropes in tweets. Trump's failed shutdown strategy produced an even worse deal than he started with. President Trump installed a room-size golf simulator at White House. Here's the system. It sucks. Meet the Hill staffers hired by Ocasio-Cortez to upend Washington. Trump's border emergency. Pelosi and Schumer called declaration unlawful. At least 5 civilians dead and 5 officers wounded in shooting in Aurora, Illinois, officials say. Trump foreign policy under attack from all sides at European Security Conference. I doubted Jussie Smollett. It breaks my heart that I might be right. Senator Bernie Sanders will seek the Democratic presidential nomination in 2020. CNN's hiring of a GOP operative as political editor is even worse than it looks. Buy the book Bob. Prosecutors say Mueller will tightly hug justice guidelines in report. The slowly written Mueller report that's sitting in plain sight. Even if Mueller's probe concludes soon, things are far from over. 4 dead, 24 injured after pro-government militias open fire on Venezuela-Brazil border. Former campaign staffer alleges in lawsuit that Trump kissed her without her consent. The White House denies the charge. Michael Cohen's 3 days of Capitol Hill testimony explained. Michael Cohen's explosive opening statement about Trump annotated. Yes, Michael Cohen's a liar and a criminal. So how come you believed him? A headline for every day of March 2019. Trump lambasts Cohen, pointing to reportedly favorable book proposed by his former lawyer. Judge orders Roger Stone to explain imminent release of book that may violate gag order. Lawmakers exploring possible pardon talks involving Michael Cohen. House Democrats demand documents for more than 80 people and institutions affiliated with Trump. The left's embrace of modern monetary theory is a recipe for disaster. Howard Schultz hopes to benefit from Michael Bloomberg's decision not to run for president. Michael Cohen discussed pardons with a second Trump lawyer, he tells Congress. Chelsea Manning sent to jail for refusing to testify in WikiLeaks case. Is Paul Manafort's sentence too light? He fared worse than many fraudsters, data shows. Tucker Carlson unapologetic over misogynistic comments on statutory rape and insults against women. Why can't Fox apologize? It won't back down even amid Pirro and Carlson controversies. Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner are a case study in why nepotism is problematic. In overwhelmingly bipartisan vote, House calls for Mueller report to be made public. 49 killed in terrorist attack at mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand. The House voted 420-0 to release the Mueller report. So why is Lindsey Graham blocking the bill? Let's get this party started. New Zealand shooting suspect narrated his chilling rampage. Why there may be much less and much more to the Mueller report than people expect. The ridiculousness of Devin Nunes suing Devin Nunes' cow and what it really signals. Johnny Isaacson delivers the indictment of Trump's McCain bashing that Lindsey Graham wouldn't. Trump Jr. and Bolton take unusual step of weighing in on Britain's domestic affairs. Giuliani says waiting for Mueller report is like waiting for a baby. Mueller report sent to Attorney General signaling his Russia investigation has ended. It's not the Democrats who will have a problem addressing impeachment. Serious journalists should be proud of, not bullied over, their Russia reporting. Democrats largely give up on impeachment in wake of Mueller report. Undoubtedly, there is collusion. Trump antagonist Adam Schiff doubles down after Mueller finds no conspiracy. Michael Cohen testified Trump submitted false insurance claim for bathroom ceiling fresco. The Russia hoax is finally dead. At Michigan rally, Trump declares victory in Mueller investigation. With social program fights, some Republicans fear being seen as the party of the 1%. For Trump's party of healthcare, there is no healthcare plan. A headline for every day of April 2019. President Trump has made 9,451 false or misleading claims over 801 days. White House spokesman twice calls Puerto Rico that country in TV interview. House panel votes to authorize subpoenas to obtain full Mueller report. 3 more women accuse Biden of unwanted affection, say apology video doesn't quell concerns. White House maneuvers to block release of Trump's tax returns. Pelosi outlines a path to victory for House Democrats in 2020 and guarantees it. Trump's recommendation of Herman Cain is utterly reckless. Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen leaving Trump administration amid surge of migrants. Grassley warns White House not to oust any more top immigration officials. 12 days of chaos. Inside the Trump White House's growing panic to contain the border crisis. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange arrested by British police after being evicted from Ecuador's embassy in London. White House proposed releasing immigrant detainees in sanctuary cities targeting political foes. Trump's plan to send migrant detainees to sanctuary cities draws concerns about cost and legality. Senator Kamala D. Harris releases tax returns showing nearly $1.9 million in household income in 2018. This is endangering lives. It has to stop. Rep. Ilhan Omar says death threats spiked after Trump tweet. Notre Dame fire. Cathedral tower saved, but Paris monument suffers colossal damage. Impeachment should be a no-brainer, no matter what the Mueller report says. Mueller report will be lightly redacted, revealing detailed look at obstruction of justice investigation. George Conway says Trump is a cancer on the presidency. Congress should remove him. Why was Trump so afraid of the Mueller investigation? We may never know. Sri Lanka explosions, at least 207 dead in Easter Sunday attack. Trump and his business sue House Oversight Chairman to block congressional subpoena of financial records. Constraints on presidency being redefined in Trump era, report fallout shows. Trump says he is opposed to White House aides testifying to Congress, deepening power struggle with Hill. North Korea issued $2 million bill for comatose Otto Warmbier's care. U.S. economy grew 3.2% in early 2019, smashing expectations. Hardline views made Lou Dobbs a Fox powerhouse. Now he's shaping Trump's border policy. Biden holds a slight advantage over nearest 2020 rival, but Democrats are far from making a decision. Trump's latest moves demand a tougher response. A leading Democrat shows how. Biden says Congress will have no alternative but to impeach Trump if he blocks its investigations. A headline for every day of May 2019. Mueller complained that Barr's letter did not capture context of Trump probe. Hillary Clinton says, China, if you're listening, why don't you get Trump's tax returns? Trump is already set to use the government to destroy the Democratic nominee. Mother of Otto Warmbier calls U.S. diplomacy with North Korea a charade. Mueller and House Judiciary Committee tentatively agree on May 15th for his testimony on Russia investigation, House Democrat says. 1 million species face extinction, UN panel says, and humans will suffer as result. McConnell calls for an end to investigations of Trump, says case closed. Pelosi says Trump is becoming self-impeachable. The White House revoked my press pass. It's not just me, it's curtailing access for all journalists. Trump and Kim battled subordinates ahead of spike in tensions. Trump's interest stirring Ukraine investigations sows confusion in Kiev. Trump and his allies are blocking more than 20 separate Democratic probes in an all-out war with Congress. Trump's trade approach under attack as China readies retaliation, markets poised for big sell-off. White House explores new farmer bailout plan as U.S.-China trade war heats up. A typical male answer. Only 3 women had a voice in Alabama Senate as 25 men passed abortion ban. The very political pattern of Trump's pardons. Judge orders public release of what Michael Flynn said in call to Russian ambassador. Acting secretary blocked Stephen Miller's bid for another DHS shakeup. GOP lawmaker says Trump's conduct meets threshold for impeachment. Senator Kamala Harris vows as president to fine companies that pay men more than women. Some in Pelosi's leadership team rebel on impeachment. Press her to begin an inquiry. Why Democrats and pundits shouldn't assume impeachment will backfire. Schumer calls Trump a get-nothing-done president as blame game continues after aborted White House meeting. Trump shares heavily edited video that highlights verbal stumbles by Pelosi and questions her mental acuity. Barr would expose secrets and politicize intelligence with review of Russia probe, current and former officials fear. Trump appears to contradict Bolton on North Korea, expresses confidence in Kim. European Parliament elections, voters deny traditional centrists a majority, boost Eurosceptics and Greens. Supreme Court compromise on Indiana abortion law keeps issues off its docket. Mueller says he would not go beyond anything in his report if he appears before Congress. White House wanted USS John S. McCain obscured during Trump's Japan visit. Everyone dies. Barr says he's unconcerned about the toll his job is taking on his reputation. A headline for every day of June 2019. Justice Department does not comply with court order to release transcripts of Michael Flynn's conversations with Russian ambassador. Navy confirms request was made to minimize the visibility of USS John S. McCain during Trump's visit to Japan. Purged, not purged. Leading North Korean official reemerges in public. GOP lawmakers discuss vote to block Trump's new tariffs on Mexico in what would be a dramatic act of defiance. Trump administration cancels English classes, soccer, legal aid for unaccompanied children migrants in U.S. shelters. Impeach Trump, but don't necessarily try him in the Senate. Forget impeachment, tee up prosecution. White House blocked intelligence agencies' written testimony saying climate change could be possibly catastrophic. At Pride Fest in Des Moines, politics are in the spotlight. Is the emperor wearing any clothes? Trump's Mexico deal will offer a real, quantifiable verdict. Facebook chief Mark Zuckerberg reached out to Speaker Pelosi. She hasn't called him back. Trump asserts executive privilege to shield documents on census citizenship question. Oil tankers attacked in Gulf of Oman, U.S. Navy says. Sarah Sanders was the disdainful queen of gaslighting. Trump's internal poll numbers are out, and both they and his team's response paint a bleak picture. Pompeo says there is more evidence that Iran attacked tankers. Push to impeach Trump stalls amid Democrats' deference to and fear of Pelosi. Trump vows mass immigration arrests and removals of millions of illegal aliens starting next week. We got things done. Biden recalls civility with segregationist senators. Horns are growing on young people's skulls. Phone use is to blame, research suggests. Trump ordered attack on Iran for downing drone, then called it off, citing casualties. I stopped it. Inside Trump's last-minute reversal on striking Iran. Trump says he will hold off on planned ICE raids for now. Sanders to propose canceling entire $1.6 trillion in U.S. student loan debt, escalating Democratic policy battle. Palestinians throw cold water on Jared Kushner's Middle East plans. House panel votes to authorize subpoena for White House's Conway after she fails to show for hearing. Who talked most during the first night of the Democratic debate? Kamala Harris changes answer on abolishing private health insurance, saying she misheard debate question. In Japan, Trump calls Jimmy Carter a terrible president and says Kamala Harris got too much credit in debate. Trump becomes first sitting president to set foot into North Korea. A headline from every day of July 2019. Surreal. Ivanka Trump plays a prominent role in her father's historic Korea trip. Democrats convulse over race as debate exchange reverberates. Pentagon grapples with how to move tanks from a Washington rail yard to the National Mall. Our politics is in a partisan death spiral. That's why I'm leaving the GOP. I'd smack him in the mouth. Biden seeks to dispel concerns about his ability to take on Trump after shaky debate performance. Trump rages over his latest failure to corrupt our democracy. Jeffrey Epstein taken into custody in New York on new charges related to sex crimes involving minors. Financier Jeffrey Epstein charged with federal sex trafficking crimes involving minors. Epstein indictment renews questions about earlier case handled by Trump cabinet official. Appeals court dismisses emoluments lawsuit involving President Trump's D.C. hotel. New book details how Republican leaders learned to stop worrying and love Trump. Alex Acosta resigns as labor secretary amid intense scrutiny of his handling of Jeffrey Epstein case. The pressure on a prosecutor, how Epstein's wealth and power steered Acosta towards lenient deal. Trump targets 4 liberal congresswomen with tweets that Pelosi denounces as xenophobic. Republicans are quiet as Trump urges minority congresswomen to leave the country. Joe Biden says, I'll challenge Trump to do push-ups on stage if he makes fun of my age or mental state. Sanders vows to reject donations from drug and health insurance industry, seeking to pressure Biden. Fury just beneath the surface. With a tiny push, Trump's crowd chants, "Send her back." ESPN's Dan Le Batard rips President Trump, derides network's no politics policy. For client Jeffrey Epstein, an unlocked cell in Florida jail. Boris Johnson, Britain's likely next prime minister, is a hack, a journalist who has reached the pinnacle of power. Stephen Mueller lets the mask slip. A U.S. citizen has been in immigration custody for nearly a month due to a paperwork snafu, attorney says. The president was not exculpated for the acts that he allegedly committed, Mueller tells House Judiciary Committee. Mueller just showed why impeachment proceedings should begin soon. Nadler says he's going to court today and next week to enforce Mueller-related subpoenas. Mitch McConnell is a Russian asset. Don't get complacent. Things really are that bad under Trump. Some officials fear Trump will get the intelligence he wants, not the intelligence he needs, from DNI pick. The realists attacked the revolutionaries, and the revolutionaries won in the Democratic debate. A headline for every day of August 2019. The Democratic debates offered an interesting sneak peek at a post-Trump world. July was Earth's hottest month on record, beating or tying July 2016. GOP senator held up Trump nominee, demanding to see border wall contracts after Army Corps panned construction firm he prefers. Politicians grieve for El Paso victims, with Democrats decrying GOP inaction on gun laws. A mother died shielding her infant in El Paso. The father died shielding them both, family says. Teleprompter Trump meets Twitter Trump as the president responds to mass slayings. Be quiet. Trump claims Beto O'Rourke uses a phony name to indicate Hispanic heritage. ICE agents raid Mississippi work sites. Arrests 680 people in largest single-state immigration enforcement action in U.S. history. Democratic candidates' quandary. How to call out Trump on race without offending potential voters. Trump again appears to take North Korea's side against his own military and allies. We need answers, lots of them. What is known and what's next after Jeffrey Epstein's death? It was inevitable. Officers watching Epstein were on overtime due to jail staffing shortage, union president says. The Twitter-fed disaster over Epstein's death demands a solution. Slow news. How a McConnell-backed effort to lift Russian sanctions boosted a Kentucky project. Autopsy finds broken bones in Jeffrey Epstein's neck, deepening questions around his death. Trump met his commitments to LGBTQ Americans. He has our endorsement. Don't waste your breath trying to convince Trump supporters he's repugnant. Group of top CEOs says maximizing shareholder profits no longer can be the primary goal of corporations. Scaramucci says, I was wrong about Trump. Here's why. Trump quotes conspiracy theorists claiming Israelis love him like he is the second coming of God. Trump, frustrated by unpopularity with Jews, thrusts Israel into his culture war. Rep. Seth Moulton of Massachusetts drops out a presidential race, then draws a surprise tweet from President Trump. Evoking 1968 at Town Hall, Biden asks, what would have happened if Obama had been assassinated? Trump expresses regret about escalating China trade war, then reverses course and says he wishes he raised tariffs higher. G7 summit set to end with little consensus amid Trump's mixed messaging on the trade war. Investigators scrutinizing video outside Epstein's cell find some footage unusable, according to people familiar with the inquiry. Doorbell camera firm Ring has partnered with 400 police forces, extending surveillance reach. Trump administration to reverse limits on methane, a powerful greenhouse gas. Comey IG report exposes the hypocrisy of the Russia hoax crowd. I'm rooting for a direct hit on Mar-a-Lago. Former Canadian Prime Minister creates Twitter storm. A headline for every day of September 2019. 5 killed, 21 injured in a mass shooting in Odessa, Texas. History will remember how Trump responded to Hong Kong. Trump encouraged Pence to stay at his golf resort in Ireland. 21 British conservatives put country over party. Why can't 21 Republicans do the same? Trump offers full support for Johnson as Pence prepares to visit London amid Brexit chaos. Why President Trump's Sharpied weather map was likely a crime, and should be. NOAA backs President Trump on Alabama hurricane forecast and rebukes Weather Service office that accurately contradicted him. Joe Biden ahead in Democratic race with Senators Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren filling out the top tier. The push to impeach Trump just got more serious, but there's a problem. 6 in 10 Americans expect a recession and higher prices as Trump's approval rating slips, poll finds. Bolton lost the latest Trump administration factional battle, but not the last. House committee votes to take steps towards impeachment as Democrats mull potential charges against Trump. Winners and losers from the third debate. McCarthy doubles down on denouncing Democrats and bets the House on Trump. Iran denies carrying out crippling attacks on Saudi oil facilities. Senator told FBI last fall of new information about Kavanaugh. After the Saudi oil attack, will the U.S. and Saudis start a war with Iran? Here are 3 things to know. I hope there's an age limit. Jimmy Carter questions whether he could have handled the presidency at 80. Are Democrats ready for the coming disinformation tsunami? Whistleblower complaint about President Trump involves Ukraine, according to 2 people familiar with the matter. Trump has done plenty to warrant impeachment, but the Ukraine allegations are over the top. Rudy Giuliani accused me of exposing Paul Manafort's Ukraine deals to help U.S. Democrats. That's a lie. It's time, Speaker Pelosi. Trump ordered hold on military aid days before calling Ukrainian president, officials say. Democrats' double standard on Ukraine. What did they know about the whistleblower complaint and when they know it? Whistleblower painstakingly gathered material and almost single-handedly set impeachment in motion. Trump told Russian officials in 2017 he wasn't concerned about Moscow's interference in U.S. election. The gas tycoon and the vice president's son, the story of Hunter Biden's foray into Ukraine. Fellow Republicans, there's still time to save your souls. A headline for every day of October 2019. Attorney General Barr personally asked foreign officials to aid inquiry into CIA and FBI activities in 2016. Acting Homeland Security Chief frustrated and isolated even as he delivers what Trump wants at the border. Pompeo is enabling the destruction of U.S. diplomacy. IRS whistleblower said to report Treasury political appointee might have tried to interfere in audit of Trump or Pence. Trump's calls with foreign leaders have long worried aides, leaving some genuinely horrified. Whistleblower's attorney says team now representing multiple officials. Federal judge rules Trump must turn over his tax returns to Manhattan DA, but Trump has appealed. Poll says majority of Americans say they endorse opening of House impeachment inquiry of Trump. There really is no appealing the process of impeachment, says ex-Clinton White House counsel. 2 business associates of Trump's personal attorney Giuliani have been arrested on campaign finance charges. At least 4 national security officials raised alarms about Ukraine policy before and after Trump call with Ukrainian president. Trump says he is replacing McAleenan as acting Homeland Security Secretary. Trump orders withdrawal of U.S. forces from northern Syria days after Pentagon downplays possibility. Vile and horrific. Fake video of Trump massacring media shown at his Miami resort draws backlash. Disruptive diplomat Gordon Sondland, a key figure in Trump impeachment furor, long coveted ambassadorship. Giuliani pressed Trump to eject Muslim cleric from U.S., a top priority of Turkish president, former officials say. Amid impeachment probe, Gordon Sondland is overseeing a renovation of his residence that has cost $1 million in taxpayer money. Diplomat tells investigators he raised alarms in 2015 about Hunter Biden's Ukraine work, but was rebuffed. Growing number of Republicans struggle to defend Trump on G7 choice, Ukraine and Syria. Trump says his Doral golf resort will no longer host next year's G7 summit, bowing to criticism. Want Trump removed? New data shows Fox News is a huge obstacle. Trump calls impeachment inquiry a lynching as a key witness testifies. House Republicans barge into secure room, disrupt planned testimony in Trump impeachment inquiry. House Democrats look to take impeachment probe public as soon as mid-November. Democrats say whistleblower's testimony is unnecessary as other witnesses come forward. Trump frustrated as White House effort to defy impeachment inquiry fails to halt witness testimony, advisors say. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, austere religious scholar at helm of Islamic State, dies at 48. Trump met with sustained boos when introduced at Game 5 of the World Series. A new witness is about to damage Trump. Fox News is already smearing him. First-hand account of Trump's Ukraine call puts GOP in bind, emboldens Democrats. White House lawyer moved transcript of Trump call to classified server after Ukraine advisor raised alarms. A headline for every day of November 2019. Americans sharply divided over whether to impeach and remove Trump from office, poll finds. Smugglers are sawing through new sections of Trump's border wall. As Warren and Buttigieg rise, the Democratic presidential race is competitive and fluid, a poll finds. White House lawyer defies House subpoena. Trump sees no reason to summon witnesses on Ukraine call. Trump trails Democratic rivals in national survey as independents move away. Kentucky outcome embarrasses Trump and worries many Republicans ahead of 2020. Trump wanted Barr to hold new conference, saying the president broke no laws in call with Ukrainian leader. House GOP looks to protect Trump by raising doubts about motives and duties. The United States is being run by a toddler. Sanders blasts Bloomberg, "You ain't gonna buy this election." Donald Trump Jr. went to UCLA to decry triggered liberals. He was heckled off stage by the far right. White House infighting flares amid impeachment inquiry. The impossibility of separating Giuliani from Trump. Ambassador's cell phone call to Trump from Kiev restaurant was a stunning breach of security, former officials say. For Trump, Yovanovitch's testimony brings moment of reckoning on gender. How a CIA analyst, alarmed by Trump's shadow foreign policy, triggered an impeachment inquiry. Buttigieg surges ahead of his Democratic Party rivals in Iowa, new poll shows. Okay, boomer, we're more pragmatic than you think, say young voters in new study. Lieutenant Colonel Vindman to describe his alarm over president's call with Ukrainian leader, girding for Republican attack. Sondland acknowledges there was a quid pro quo involving Ukraine. Gordon Sondland just made this scandal a whole lot bigger. Justice Department watchdog is said to have found evidence an FBI employee altered document in Russia probe. Justice Department watchdog finds political bias did not taint top officials running the FBI's Russia probe, but document errors. Top House Democrat says ethics probe of Nunes is likely over alleged meeting with Ukrainian about Biden's. Navy Secretary forced out by Pentagon Chief over handling of Navy SEALs war crimes case. Richard Spencer's stark new warning about Trump unmasks a deeper truth. The unmitigated ludicrousness of Trump trying to distance himself from Giuliani's work on Ukraine. Ken Cuccinelli walked into a bar, and Martin O'Malley lit into him. Harris faces uphill climb amid questions about who she is. How a fight over health care entangled Elizabeth Warren and reshaped the Democratic presidential race. A headline for every day of December 2019. Committee to meet Tuesday to approve release of Ukraine report. Montana Governor Steve Bullock drops out of presidential race. Barr doesn't accept key Inspector General finding about FBI's Russia investigation. Iran is brutally suppressing popular dissent. The world is watching. Barr's handpicked prosecutor tells Inspector General he can't back right-wing theory that Russia case was U.S. intelligence setup. Phone logs in impeachment report renew concern about security of Trump communications. An impeachment tide swirls around Trump. Giuliani drops anchor in Ukraine. Trump says Giuliani will report to Justice Department, Congress on his investigations in Ukraine. At war with the truth. Democrats expected to unveil articles of impeachment against Trump, focusing on abuse of power and obstructions of Congress. William Barr's deceptions are more dangerous than you think. Here's the latest. Trump mocks 16-year-old Greta Thunberg a day after she is named Time's Person of the Year. Trump is getting played by China on trade. Melania Trump's indefensible defense of her bully husband. Ex-Trump campaign aide Carter Page notches victory after Inspector General hammers FBI for surveillance missteps. President Trump has made 15,413 false or misleading claims over 1,055 days. More than 700 scholars pen letter urging House to impeach Trump. It is hard to capture how bizarre and frightening Trump's letter to Pelosi is. George Conway says Republican senators run the risk of being shamed by Trump himself. Trump's rage at Christianity Today gives away his scam. Trump administration demanded Democrats strip Ukraine aid language from spending package. About Pete Buttigieg's wine cave dinner? I was there. Saudi Arabia says 5 sentenced to death in killing of Jamal Khashoggi. The cost of criticizing Trump. Journalist leaves Christian post amid its plans to attack Christianity Today. Colleges are turning students' phones into surveillance machines, tracking the locations of hundreds of thousands. In court, he speaks for Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Ousted Cardinal McCarrick gave more than $600,000 to fellow clerics, including 2 popes, records show. Trump's stock market rally is very good, but still lags Obama and Clinton. Trump retweets a post naming the alleged whistleblower. Explosive new revelations just weakened Trump's impeachment defenses. Protesters chanting "Death to America" break into U.S. Embassy compound in Baghdad.